So my name is Gilbert, Dr. Gilbert Saggia, as Kellen wants me to mention the doctor part. And I'm a director and a co-founder at Age Cards. And Age Cards is a prepaid company, card company that deals in prepaid cards, but also digital gift cards. Basically, what we do is be able to enable smoother payments and enable to make it easier for transfer of value.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, I only have a quick moment, you guys, before the helicopter starts going for this guest. But I have doctor. When I say doctor, I'm talking about medical doctor, even though he would not, just tell you that. You got to do a little bit of digging. But Dr. Gilbert is going to give us the game on Edge Card and everything else that he's going on. This man is multi-talented. From Nairobi to Tulane, if you recognize his face, it's because he's a global traveler, a seasoned traveler. So welcome to the show. How are you doing, my bro?
I'm all right. Thank you, Kellen. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. And I'm going to tell people right now, if you want to know deep details about the Edge Card, I'm going to direct you to the African Diaspora News interview. But I almost want to get into how did you get here? What were the barriers? Because that's the stuff that my audience says, okay, you got this product, but you have done so much. And like most doctors, physicians, you either want to be a pilot or an entrepreneur or both. So tell us like the start and when you knew medicine is, let's start there. When did you know you didn't want to practice medicine anymore?
Thanks, Kellen, and I can tell where you're headed. You really want me to talk about the personal stuff, but let's see how much I can get to that. I wouldn't say that there was a point where I would say that I didn't want to practice it, because I take it that the learnings that we get, early in life, we continue to apply them regardless of where we go or our journey takes us. But way back, even during medical school, I was very, very keen on technology and on business technology side of it. So it wasn't so much a complete deviation. It was more of, hey, how can I be able to use my medical learnings and be able to use my technology experience or tech experience and also my business acumen and build some kind of a sweet spot. So, fast track a few decades from that, 2 or so decades from that, we've actually invested in some companies as well, personally, where I'm involved in, where we are building platforms that are healthcare based as well. And I'm able to be much more useful in that kind of a board or directors meeting, where I'm the one coming in with the healthcare side of it, and also coming the technology side of it, and coming the business side of it. So I'll say that it's always useful to be able to use my medical side.
Okay, so you're kind of like Dr. Peter Diamandis, future is faster than you think. You really only went to med school to learn how to engineer the healthcare side and the business side, and nobody can tell you anything because you can save a life. I got you. Now, was the pressure, or the purpose of these things, was it put on your parents? Were you pushed? Were you supported while going through school, while going through business? Or was it one of those things that you were the weird person who wanted to overachieve?
Actually, no. I pushed myself to it, to be quite honest. I mean, right from when I was young, I said, this is what I want to be. And I was very, very crystal clear about it, worked hard. And it's not easy in Africa, especially, right? I mean, you got to be top of everything. Just top of your elementary school, top of every single thing before you get there. At least at the time when you were studying. Right now, you could go as a private student, sponsored, but way back then, you're either the top of the class or you're not making it. So it was a lot of hard work to be able to get that going. But then I quickly realized, especially this happened, as much as I was doing, all this tech stuff while also studying, I learned very quickly that I only had 2 pairs of hands, right? And to be able to save, millions of lives or thousands of lives, I need to multiply the hands I had. And therefore I said, maybe I'm a little bit more privileged in terms of I already have business skills, already have technology skills. Could I do something different that I could actually transform the lives of many Africans than just using my pair of hands? And of course, way back then, research was not something that was really, strong yet, or really, I would call it a very mature industry in Africa. And if you need to do it, you'll have to go out of the continent. And therefore, I said, I think I could do something different with my sweet spot of technology, healthcare, and business. And way back then as well, I did write a couple of articles way back. I'm talking about 90s. Late 90s, early 2000s, regarding the convergence of technology and healthcare, and what it will mean for Africa. And it's so interesting that 2 decades down the line, these things are all coming to reality. But already back then we saw that that's where I think we could save and solve a lot of Africa's challenges, especially on healthcare or primary healthcare.
Well, and Edge has a part to do with that. So tell the people, I wasn't going to ignore Edge because I see it on the sweatshirt and we were talking about it prior. But tell how Edge is changing the game for those, here in America, Europe, who are connecting back to Kenya, going back, and also for the diaspora who maybe it's their first time, but they fall in love and say, Ketebu, Kenya, I'm treated better here than I am at home. How is Edge changing the game?
Yeah, so let me thank you for that question, Kellen, right? And this is something I'm so passionate about. I've also been a diaspora myself, right? Worked in Europe, came back to Africa and said, hey, let me come back and be able to be closer home to my parents and family. And there was always a challenge of when you're assisting folks back home, and I'm talking whether it's immediate family or extended family, the challenge was always sending money, and then is the money used correctly? Because typically the money is not received by the person you intended for as the first recipient. It's typically the third. So there's a person who receives it and then texts this other person, and then the final person you intended it for to receive value gets it almost at the third tier. And in each of those transfer, there's always what we call a little bit of taxation. So the intended purpose is a fraction of what you actually sent, right? And that problem still exists up to today, right? Almost 15, 20 years from when I experienced it personally, it's still there right now. But what does Edge Card do, right? So Edge Cards is a prepaid card platform. So you can go online, edge.cards, and be able to basically do what? Boom, within 1 minute, apply for a prepaid card. And we get it to your doorstep in a day or two, right? Now, what this allows us to be able to do, especially for Africa, is to be able to focus on those who are what I call the underbanked or unbanked, which is still quite a big percentage, and be able to give them an opportunity to be able to participate in what I call the modern economy, right? Using these prepaid cards, because no bank account is required for these prepaid cards. The statistics, as you may know already or not, is that up to 60% is underbanked, right? In Kenya, right? And Kenya is one of the most advanced, financially speaking, countries in Africa. And then you've got financial sector speaking. Then you've got the completely unbanked is about 40-something%. So you've got all these adults who are completely not participating in what I call the modern economy from a banking perspective. Why? Because it's just so difficult to get that whole banking thing working. So we said, okay, great. We've got the prepaid card thing done. Now, what else could we do on this platform is we could provide value for our cardholders and also non-card holders. And we built a platform for digital gift cards. And the digital gift cards, primarily when we put it together, we were focused on the diaspora and saying, hey, the diaspora remittance in Africa is one of the biggest sources of what I call forex into the countries. Actually, for some countries, it's the leading what I call exports, right? or source of income, other than their FDIs, right? So when you look at that, we said, if we were to find a way to get together the diaspora, be able to send money, but in a much more efficient way to increase the level of efficiency and correct usage of that money. The top 4 items for diaspora remittance is the following: construction, healthcare, education, and groceries. Those are the top four. Healthcare is, depending on the country you go to, is either number 2 or 3. Education, flips in when it's school time, but healthcare is always a nice, good, steady number 2, right? Steps to number 3 when it's school time and you need to send school fees for education. What that means is that if we can solve the healthcare part of it, right, and make sure that it's being addressed, that if I'm sending money for medicine, for medical care, for admission to a hospital, it's actually going to be used for that purpose, we could solve a major, major problem for the country and for the countries in Africa and for Kenya specifically. We're not talking small money here. Kenya specifically alone, I think in October, remittance was about $330 million. So $330 million came into the country by diaspora, right? And 90-something% of that goes through mobile money. What mobile money means is that it's just sent as money. And then the person receiving it has to now appropriate it accordingly to what you sent it for. So if we're saying that number 2 of that is healthcare, that means that a significant amount of that $330 million is actually coming to save lives, literally speaking, right? To save a life, literally speaking. And therefore, if a percentage of it is not going to saving a life correctly, and we could make it work correctly, I think it will be great. So we've actually partnered with some of the largest, especially from a pharmacy perspective, in the region, companies, to see how can we make sure that distribution of drugs, if someone is assisting their relatives back home, is being used accordingly. So that's how we're basically saving lives, to be able to make sure that the funds for medicine is being sent and used correctly. But also in that, together with the pharmacy, we have a program that says, hey, guess what? When you said you want this medicine is what needs to be purchased, there's not going to be hanky-panky. There's not going to be an off-the-side agreement to say, hey, give me a cheaper drug, and then eventually you're going to lose your mama or your relative, right? Because they just use substandard drugs. It's going to be used for the right purpose. That's the problem we're solving, Kellen. We believe we can save lives with this, and we are.
And what a big problem it is, because I've had a sick child in a Cameroonian hospital, and the hospital, they need their money right now. There is no, we're going to bill you, later, and you can pay in the next 5 years. Like here in America, as you know, everything is based on credit. Right. Cell phones, even things you don't need, we'll give you a better deal if you get it on credit. So that's the game. Where in Africa, that's why I say Africa's so rich, because people aren't in debt. Now, you might not think you have the money you need. I don't think many people do, even Bill Gates. And, we saw Elon Musk, should I buy Twitter? Should I not? I got to buy it. But it's a big problem. Now, is this also, though, part of your community give back to help your fellow doctors get paid? And if not, what is your community give back in life as of right now that you're doing, or that you would like to do in the future?
And actually, the reason we partnered with this particular pharmaceutical chain, and other than them being the biggest, right, there was something else behind it. And of course, sitting across the table with the CEO and the directors of this firm, and I'm sitting across them, no longer as a director of age, but now almost as a doctor. Together, we can actually, make a difference. This particular organization has quite a lot of things that they do on the ground already that are literally giving back. They deliver these drugs for free. We deliver our prepaid cards for free to your doorstep. We said, hey, wait a minute, we could also maybe deliver the drugs for free. But they're like, no, we also do it. So right there, we're helping to solve that for the community, especially for those who can't either afford that extra transport delivery part, or they're a little bit too far from the pharmacy. We're able to really make sure that it gets to them in their own houses. So that's important as well. The other part is in terms of where this pharmacy being able to give free basic diagnostics, like checking on blood pressure, sugars, and a couple of other things. That and also be able to give free advice as well, right? So we believe in that when it comes to healthcare, we'll be able to do a little bit of that. From a community perspective, we've actually did sponsor, even with the little money we have, a small football club as well, in the rural, literally slum areas as well. You would even call it third or fourth division, right? It's way back there. And the reason for that was just make sure that, hey, how are we giving back? Not just as age cards, but also as those who are saying, hey, we're looking for the underserved in the community to be able to, unbanked in the community to be able to, get prepaid cards for their transactions. But what else can we also give them back to be able to help them just to be able to uplift themselves? And sports is one area for that. The other as well that we do is be able to look for other partnerships together with some of the the companies we work with in our ecosystem, especially on the card part, to be able to go back to the communities and be able to organize community outreach programs.
Wow. And this is great. I mean, great works that you're doing. I can't talk about everything you're doing because if I start getting into the titans of Afrique and everything else that you do and the boards you serve on, you'll miss, your next appointment. I told you guys I can hear the helicopter starting up. But let the people know, is there a way where people can read about your life? Have you started a book, or do you have a blog? Do you have a podcast?
Actually, that's a very good point, Kellen. I think I've been thinking about that quite a bit. As much as I have my own domain, gilbertsaggia.com, I've not built a website on it for the last 2-3 years, right? And that's something I think I'm putting down for 2023 to get that done. Literally starting from these holidays, just started getting that done. But just to take a step back, other than I can be found on LinkedIn, but just to take a step back to Titans D'Afrique that we put together about 5 years ago. At that point, I'd worked for multinationals for about 25 years, and at that point, I said, you know what, I want to build a company that can be able to do three things for Africa, especially. Number one is that, can we promote local intellectual property coming out of the continent? Not enough of that is coming out, right? IP that is sellable globally. How much of that is coming out? Not enough of it is coming out compared with other continents, of course. And then the other thing is, we said, you know what? The companies that we support as a management investment firm in this IP game of creating your own IP, especially along tech, can they be able to reach global scale? Can we assist them to reach global scale? And lastly is that they must be able to transform society. It just can't be about making money. You must have a transformational agenda. And out of that, definitely, is that personally and as Titans D'Afrique, we've got involved in a couple of ventures that sing along those three lines, and they have to be all those three, not one or two, but all those three. So that's what I do. Now with my life moving forward. So like I say, 25 years done, I work in multinationals at various positions. And I said, now it needs to be, how can we build multinationals out of Africa and use that experience that I've gained over those 2 decades or so to give back, but also build companies that can be sustainable across the planet.
And somebody is asking right now, I can hear the audience sometimes, they're saying, how does this man do all these things? And I say, one, you have to have a great team. And who even connected us is somebody who we were able to, but only by the grace of God, be able to hire someone I've been able to father for the last at least 5 years, Miss Olive, Lions Den, Kenya. You guys go YouTube that and see that, Shark Tank, you got Dragon's Den, but you also have Lions Den, and she's the CEO of Edge, and you guys partner, young woman. You have a good, great team. But you also, when you told me you have children, I say, when did he have time to make them? So for the men who want to have it all and have good teams and have family, how do you prioritize that? Because many people struggle with that.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Kellen. But in due honesty, Kellen, we can only do the things we do because of the people around us. That's both family and colleagues, right? And also, your partners in business. Even if we have all the time on the planet, we are not the sole, source of all kinds of information. right? And you always need people that can bring new ideas to the table. And therefore, partnerships are quite important for me. And I say partnerships, not co-founding a company or employee. No, it's partnership. Whether it's people that work for me or have worked for me in the past, I still look at it as we are partners in this, right? That's very, very important for me. And therefore, we need to be, going in the same direction. Or I'm also helping you in your journey as well. So over the years, I've mentored a couple of people as well, and I'm very proud that some of the people I've mentored, they're now also, country directors of some of these multinationals as well now, right? So I'm happy that they've gotten there, that I've been a part of their journey and helped them along their journeys as well. But and as far as kids go, Kellen, I mean, my daughter is 19. I mean, that's a long time ago. Now I need to be creating a calendar, schedule to have a 1 hour with her, right? I mean, I'm joking, but you know what I mean. I mean, they're now much older, and therefore I've got a little bit of time to be able to really focus on things that we believe can really change lives, right? I think this is a time I really feel like this I could really do it for the next couple of years, 15 or 20 years or so, and just dedicate myself to doing that. From a time perspective, there's just so much time in a 20-hour workday, right? I mean, there's just a lot of time. There's a lot of hours in that, and it's just how we use every single minute to make it count. Try not to waste any minute of it. That's what I try.
And the way they move, you guys, when we were in Kenya recently, I'm seeing Gilbert, Olive, Faith, the way they're moving, like these people don't stop. And I love it because that's the way I love to move. And, I probably take a little more kickback time than y'all, but I have 79, 78 more years on this earth, God willing. So I said, okay, let me just, not die of a heart attack. But you guys have gotten the game. I want you to let them know, Gilbert, where, and I'll put links in the description, where people do want to connect. Maybe down the line, you even have like a virtual mentorship and a course. I'm putting more on, a busy man already, but busy is a blessing. Where do you like to be connected for those people who VCs, my VCs, you vultures, you guys want to invest and talk Africa all the time? Here's a great company right here and great people who are genuine. Where's the best way to connect you? Is it LinkedIn, Instagram, or that website you're going to put up by 2023 early?
By 2023, early January. Please mark that for sure. So right now, of course, LinkedIn is always the easiest. It's already right there. That's great. I'm going to put a link to that. To create a schedule with me is very simple. It's just go to meet.gilbertsaggia.com. Very simple. And the schedule opens up and you pick a time of your choice and we have a nice good 30 minutes. I only block 30 minutes, no more than that. I think we can achieve a lot in 30. So meet.gilbertsaggia.com is a great repository where you can have that. But on the website that's going to come out in January, on gilbertsaggia.com again, various links will be there, right? So the various companies that I'm a part of, or organizations I'm part of, but more importantly, right, is folks that we could create interesting partnerships with, whether it's on the investment side, or it's even on mentorship, or it's just thoughts, right? So there'll be a section for that where we can just, be able to have, like a war room or a chat room of sorts, and be able to just share ideas as well. As well, like I said, I take on new mentees, so to speak, or every single quarter of the year. So that also will be a place where that can be done as well, right? Where we can have like a good pipeline of people that, for free, I can give back to, and hopefully I can be a part of their journey through life or not.
You guys have been blessed by even how you can become a mentee. You better come correct. Don't come with that, oh, I don't have anything. No, you need to have something in a good mind, and a humble spirit goes a long way. You guys have been blessed by the game. Make sure if you do nothing else, you share this with somebody. It will change their life. Be blessed, y'all.
Hi, everyone. Have you ever been curious about visiting Africa? Which African country were you interested in? Kenya, Nigeria, Uganda, South Africa, Ethiopia? Which country are you interested in? My good friend, Kellen Cash Coleman, came up with a course called My First Trip to Africa that'll guide you through this process. It's only $20, and in this course you'll learn about passports, visas, vaccinations that you need before you go there, as well as a budget, how much the trip is going to cost. He also talks about what you should pack, what you should take with you, how you should travel on a budget. Did you know that $100 is worth 1,000 South African rand and over 10,000 Kenyan shillings? So imagine what you can do with $100 back home. I say back home because I'm from Sudan, I'm African, I already know how it's like. I know that, you know, when you convert Canadian and American money, it goes a long way when you're traveling across Africa. So if you're curious, if Africa is a place that you've always wanted to go, always wanted to move there, Kellen Cash is the person to ask. Check out the course. There's a little preview you can listen to before you actually purchase it. If you're interested in this course, visit www.diversifiedgame.com. Don't miss out.